Greetings, boys and gits, and welcome to the first episode of Ork-sentials. Ork-sentials is where I'm going to be discussing tips, tricks, hobby cheats, hacks, and all of those buzzwords. All the ways that you're going to make being a greenskin just a little bit easier and learn, maybe if you're an experienced player, the odd thing or two, but if you're a new player, you're going to learn loads, so stick around. Today's episode is actually about bitz boxing. What's a bitz box, I hear you cry? Well, actually, I hear nobody cry that, but I'm sure there's a few of you that are new to the hobby and new to greenskins, especially with the new codex and the new Speed Freaks drop. I'm sure there will be. So I'll explain it for those people. Now, bitz box originally used to be, and it still is to a lot of people, and it's kind of probably the most orky way of doing it, I guess, would be the place where all your spare bits would all just get lobbed into one box. So when you buy a kit from Games Workshop, usually you'll have spare bits on the sprue. Those would usually end up in what we call a bitz box or drawer. And you'd have a bunch of mixed components in there so that when you're building a kit in the future at some stage, you might decide, oh, I'd like to use a different arm on this guy actually. I want to impose slightly different. You'd go to the bitz box and you'd find yourself a magical arm in there that just did the job perfectly. And once that happened, you'd find yourself hooked on converting. And once you're hooked on converting, there's no stopping you. And you start thinking about things a little bit differently. So what I'm going to argue for today is a little bit more advanced version of the bitz box. It's the organizer bitz box, or the organized bitz box. Now, I know you're going to say, maybe that's a bit unorky. I mean, organizing things? That doesn't sound very orky. Well, that's true. But sticking a box together as it comes from the manufacturer and following the instructions and using the suggested components, well, that ain't all that orky either, is it? So hear me out. If you was to take your 3 or 4 different boxes of different orks, your looters, your burners, your boyz, your storm boys, and all of those good kits that you can get together, and some third-party bits and bobs as well, and you bring all that in together, and then you forget what they're supposed to go with, and you just organise them instead by heads, legs, arms, bodies, and stuff like that. Then when you come to build something, you only need to look at the parameters of what that model should be. So the unit description will tell you. So for example, a storm boy. A storm boy is a boy, so he has to be boy size. So you can't go using a knob body for that unless you're doing some exaggerated narrative thing and you're going to explain that, but you're better stuff to stick with a boy sized body. So you don't necessarily have to use the storm boy's body, you can use a boy's body. He does have to have a rocket strapped to his back, and that is where those storm boys bodies are very useful because they come with a rocket. But what's to say you can't convert a rocket? So okay, so you've got a boy and a rocket. He's also got to have a slugger and a chopper. Now the slugger and the chopper that come in the kit with the storm boys is perfectly ample. In fact, it's beautiful, but you could do something different. You could go for something that comes in the boys kit, or one of the other kits, or even from a third party. So what I'm saying is you'll end up with a much more orky looking model at the end of it because it'll be much more unique. And that to me is far more orky than being regimented in looking like they do on the box. So for an example, with a storm boy, I'll try to display this to you here. Look, this lad here, see, he's not got the standard storm boy head. He's got a third party head. He's also got a metal slugger arm here. I can't remember what kit that's from. And the stick bomb on this arm, I can't remember what kit that's from either. You guys probably remember better than I do which kits things comes from. But I've also given him some shoulder pads there as well. Some various different shoulder pads. I think, did I make the ones on either? Yeah, I made one of the in fact, I made those shoulder pads. I didn't get them out of the drawer, but you know, I could have just pulled them out of the drawer. So that's kind of showing you what you do when you're, you know, kit bashing is the correct word, because it's not really converting so much. It's more kit bashing. You know, I made the little shoulder pads and I had to adjust the arms just slightly, but you can do kit bashing without green stuffing. You can do kit bashing with just your standard bits and bobs that are in your drawers. You don't need any more extra skills to make unique looking models. You just need a bit of time and patience in dividing out your different bits and a bit of imagination in putting them together. You then can add sculpting putty and actually sculpting things or making things out of plastic card and converting and stuff like that to your arsenal later. So let's take a little look at bitz boxes. My first one is right here.
Now the first type is this type. This is your small bitz box. Now this could be good for all of your bits if you're only just starting out. You can keep all of your heads and your legs and your bodies and bits and bobs separated in here. But you might need one or two for one for troops and one for vehicle bits perhaps. But I use this one just for one unit type. So this one's for my looters. But these cheaper ones here, they're rigid in their construction inside, so you can't move the drawer sizes around, which is, it doesn't matter really, it's only cheap. They're only about £1 or €1.50. Usually get them from places like Deals, Poundland, Wilco's, B&Q, Wickes's, all of those sorts of places. They're doing for a couple of quid. They're very, very cheap, but they're still very useful. The next type of bitz box I'd like to talk about is an organiser like this. Now these sorts of organisers, I'll show you the front. This is knobs and flash kits. So I keep all my larger Orky bits separate from my boyz bits. Now this one is a type where you can rearrange the various compartments inside. Now you're slightly limited to what you can do. I mean, there's lots and lots of the small ones, and there's one big one, so you can move them around. There are other types of these with different size compartments and stuff that are maybe more limited than this one, maybe a little bit more free. This one I actually picked up from a plumber supplier merchants, which was, I think it was O-rings and washers and bits and bobs like that, and some kind of kit and stuff in there. But I'll just give you a little peek inside of here. So what we have is at the back, well, other than that one, which is some bodies. I think that, yeah, knob bodies, or are they flash kit bodies? I can't really tell. But at the back, it's all the heads, and they're all separated out by type. So I've got like flashy show-offy heads, top hats and hats. I like hat heads. I'm a fan of hats myself. Even though I have dreads, I love to wear hats all the time. Loads of silly hats. I've got my punky guys, or guys that have got hair squigs and stuff like that. So anything with a bit of hair flowing out the top. In here, all the sort of horned helmets, I suppose, are in there. Is it just horned helmets? Well, no, it's helmets. Yeah, just horned helmets, I believe. This one is special characters. This one is mechy and exhausty and things like that, as you can see. See, there's all the sort of heads with bionic-y looking knob heads. These ones are all the bald knob heads, the standard looking baldy knobs. And this last one, odds and ends, like bits of flash kit heads and some other third party bits and bobs. And then down here I've got like most of my knob bodies, and I've got a lot of the old metal ones because I love the old metal, love it. And loose bits and bobs, arms and stuff like that. But I do try and separate out again all the smaller bits. All the down here we've got, I'll show you, shoulder pads and weapon add-ons and bits and bobs like that. So if you take the time to actually separate out all these bits, if I'm now making a knob, right, or no, let's say I'm making a flash kit, right, I open up the box. Now I'm not immediately gonna pick out a flash kit body. I might go with, say, a metal body, and then I might decide that because he's a flash kit, he's gonna be a top hat kind of guy. So we're going somewhere along these lines. Maybe that head might be a little too large for the body, but we'll see. And then for a gun, we could go with a flash kits gun. I've got a few already that I've sort of bashed about a bit and changed, so this one's a little bit longer. Or you can build your own completely with all these different bits and bobs. You can stick all the shoulder pads on that weren't necessarily a flash kit shoulder pad. They might have been a knob shoulder pad, but in the end, you've got a unique model, and that's what I enjoy. Lastly, we have this kind of organiser, which is what I keep on my desktop. Now I have this one, and I have this one. Here is the first example of how I use those drawers. So this drawer is called sluggers. So what I've done is I've separated them out into left and right arms. So all I have to do when I'm building an orc, and these are mostly boyz sluggers, but there might, I don't think there is, but there might be the odd knob slugger in there. But I've got some loose sluggers there that are a mixed bag of different old and new and third party and whatnot. And then in here we've got all our left arms that are attached to a slugger, or left hands attached to a slugger. And in the back here we've got all our right hands that are attached to a slugger. So it's nice and easy. So when, like I say, I'm building an orc, boom, I need a right hand with slugger. Oh, does that one suit it? Oh, does that, no, oh, that one's too weedy. It's metal, I need to pin it, I'm not going to touch that now. Yeah, that's what I can do, you know. It's fun. Another example is this drawer here, which is my wheels drawer. So in the front, if I'll just move a few out of the way, I've got all my smaller sort of wheels. And in the back, all my sort of larger sort of truck size wheels. So what I would usually do is I would buy myself some vehicles and take them all apart and put most of the bits of the whole that belong together into a drawer together, so I don't forget, you know, particularly what the main parts of the build were. But all of the gubbins, all the extra bits and bobs, all the pipes, exhausts and glyphs and weapons, all that, I'm going to move that away, because I want to use my imagination and make every model different. So I'm sure if I had to look at the picture, I could find out what was originally used anyway, but I'd rather have to go at it like I'm building a Lego build from my imagination. So here I would buy all of these different wheels from different companies and from my various different kits. I'd separate them out into the different sizes, and then when I'm building a buggy, I will go in the front here. Any of the new Speed Freak vehicles, I'm going to be looking in here for exciting wheels to be using instead of the ones that the kit comes with. And then the ones the kit comes with, I can use on another build and make that look exceptional in a different way. And then these large ones here, you know, if I'm building a truck, I might opt for, because I've saved my wheels, I might opt to use all of the same types on one truck and then all of the round ones on another truck. So, you know, I mean, it's nice to have a bit of variety on a truck with the shapes of the wheels, but sometimes a bit of unity works as well, you know, because orcs have got enough stuff going on quite often to show their scrappiness. I mean, you've got things actually attached to tyres and stuff, like bits of metal and stuff, so it is represented plenty enough. But anyway, however you want to go about it, if you've got things separated out and you've forgotten what they belong to, it gives you much more chance of creating something unique, which is what we're all about, isn't it? Lastly, from my other organiser are these 3 drawers here. These are all boy heads. So this is just boy heads with hair squigs and bald heads and things like this. So they're good for your normal boys, your truck boys, or whatever they be, just your normal slugger boys that don't have any armour. And then these heads in here are all your ones with helmets and hats. So these are good for Ard boys, or for Storm boys maybe that need a helmet, or anyone that needs it. There's hats in there too, so obviously like anybody that's a bit more of a character or something like that, you know, so it's a bit more interesting. And even more interesting than that, because I'm a freebooter pirate, is all of the freebooter heads. You know, I've got a good collection of various different freebooter heads from all over the place, lots of different companies. They will get mixed in amongst groups of other orky boys, so that it sort of translates the freebooter dominance over the entire tribe, or crew, as they are to my lads. Today, I also have a giveaway to be doing. I've got some Cromlech Ork melee weapons that I opened in my Cromlech unboxing video just recently there. I'll give you a little glance at them here. Here they are, these bad boys. Nice. So they're basically choppers, right? And I'm going to be giving those away.
And all you have to do to win those is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below to tell me the answer to this question. How many Scar Boys can you have in a unit? What is the maximum number? Just put the answer in a comment down below, like the video and subscribe, and make sure that your subscriptions are on public, because I won't be able to see if you've got them on private settings. So just make sure of that and you'll be in with a chance to win.